Okay, we're just waiting right now for our instructor to join us, so I'm going to keep on hold for just a couple more minutes. Meantime, I'm going to start our live stream. All right. And welcome to our LinkedIn Live audience, as well as YouTube Live and folks here on WebEx. We'll be starting in just a couple moments. I mentioned I'm waiting for our instructor to join us. Here he is.
Hi, Stuart. Sorry, got stuck in the meeting. Just joined.
Yes, and we're live. Thank you, Raghavendra. So, as I mentioned, we are here for our interview prep masterclass. While low-level coding is vital in software interviews with top companies, we have changed it from data structures and algorithms at the request of Raghavendra, so that he can cover this topic. We'll cover DSA also in the later webinar next month. But he wanted to talk about LLC, which is a vital skill set to have and to put forward in software interviews. So we'll be talking about that today. If you're in the WebEx session, please put your questions for Raghavendra into the Q&A panel, and we'll take those at the Q&A toward the end of the webinar. And you can chat with him at all panelists. You have a comment or observation, but your questions should go in the Q&A panel so that we can get those. If you're watching on streaming, please put those into your streaming comment box or chat box, and we'll somebody will transfer those over to us for us to respond. So we're also going to ask you a poll question, and at the beginning and at the end. This one is just to get a feel for who's in our audience today. And this is how much work experience you have, not necessarily in software development, but just within the workplace itself. If you're still in school, note that, but we'd like to get an idea of how much experience people have in the working environment. And also we're checking in, as we have been throughout the pandemic, on how people are feeling. Always a confusing time with lockdowns coming, going, surges, and coming and going. And here's the poll result. And the poll result is everybody's a fresher today. We don't have that many people with a lot of work experience. So, Raghavendra, that gives you an idea of who's in our audience. These are people who are eager to prepare for starting their career or moving up early in their career. And that's going to be great. We'll start right now. Oops, before this, I'm going to go ahead, stop sharing my screen, and allow you to share yours and introduce yourself.
Sure. So
Here's the sharing privilege.
thank you. So let me share my screen just a second.
Sure thing. And you had asked to change the subject from DSA to LLC. So we'll talk about LLC today, but I
It's
hope we'll be. Go ahead.
yeah. It's actually LLD. So sorry
I'm
for that.
sorry.
That's okay. So I'll explain everything why I've changed topic and stuff. So this is also very important for interviews. So nowadays, if you see a lot of places, you find those uses of DSA that I'll be covering again in the next webinar whenever it comes up. Okay. So before I start with that, let me introduce myself to all of you guys. Just a second, I'll just share my screen. Okay, so I hope
There
it's
it
my
is.
screen is visible to you guys. There was some
I can see
problem
it. Yeah,
I
I can
was
see it.
having. Cool. So I will try to keep it as easy as possible because there are a lot of freshers in here. But nowadays, industries are moving towards dynamically, towards very much towards the design phase. Like I'll tell you why. I'll take you forward. Before that, let me introduce myself here in this part of this slide. So this is importance of low level design in interviews. Okay. This is very useful if you have at least 2 to 3 years of experience, but it's always good that you have this idea in your mind. Okay, this is coming towards us at later point of time. What and all we need to keep our mindset towards learning this. Okay, that is the main agenda behind picking this topic. Okay, talking about me, myself, Raghavendra, like Stuart mentioned, I have currently over 9 years of experience in IT industry, and I am working as a staff or software engineer in one of the Fortune 100 companies. And I've conducted multiple training sessions. I keep taking a lot of training sessions across Simplilearn and other edtech industries. So that is the main. Close to 4 years, I'm doing this particular sessions. One second. Sorry.
I said he'll. Yeah, welcome back.
Yeah. Sure. So I will continue. So today's agenda is mainly on someone came in my door, that's why I just did that. Is about what are the importance. First of all, what is low level design, high level design? Okay, I'll just stop my video if webcam because I have very limited bandwidth from my side. So don't mind for that. Where is this? How do I? Okay, thank you. So my main point of discussion today is what is this low level design people always talk about, and there are two things comes in. Okay, so before I go forward in that point, I want to make sure all of you understand this point thoroughly well. Okay, there are two aspects of it. Okay, one is, I'll bring my notepad here, high level design. Other one is low level design. I didn't wanted to prepare the slide for this specifically because I want to write and show these things to you. Okay, so whenever we think about uh, high level design, right, we have design maybe I took one of the session design Instagram. Okay, if that question is asked and you speak about lot of things about what requirements are do we really want for this. Okay, so it goes in this direction. That means it can be functional, it can be non-functional, and you talk about memory estimates. That means how much memory it is for per file, how much memory it takes for the same profile for a month and all those things. And then we talk about high level design here, and then we go about detailed design, and then we talk about bottlenecks. That means if we go with this, what bottlenecks we can face. This is what high level design talks about. Why I'm telling this, I'm giving you a context of what is this high level design as asked. So this can be design Instagram, design YouTube, or design anything. It can be any of such things. Design short URL or tiny URL, how that happens, etc. This goes on. Okay, these kind of questions are generally asked in your system design interviews, mainly when we gain that experience of somewhere around 2 to 3 years. Okay, starting that they will ask you, okay, if you are preparing for a fan companies, right, or man companies. Okay, current situation about these companies slightly dicey. Definitely things will change. Okay, again, when we prepare for such companies, our preparation will be on the top notch. Okay, we will be our best to give the interview for such companies. At least if we prepare in that way, we'll be able to land in some good companies. Okay, so this is what mainly high level design is mainly talks about overall system design. Okay, that is why we call it as HLD. Okay, and then it is also known as macro level or system design, whereas LLD mainly focuses on the component level designs. You go to the class level. Okay, what class you use, how do you use, what is the benefits of those classes, and all those things. So that's where this low level design comes into place. Okay, it's like detailed component design. Okay, or component level design. I'll give an example. For example, let's say I'm building a car. Okay, a car can be an automobile, right? First of all, I'll have an automobile interface in place or a bank in place, and then that spreads out across multiple banks. For example, I have one bank and I have three other banks under it: ICICI, HDFC, and Canara. Okay, now these three banks are there, they inherit some properties from them. Okay, now like this, there can be multiple things in future. How do we kind of extract some common patterns in this and make it as a standard? That is what we mainly focus on, this low level design, and that is why it is very important. Okay, this is also known as micro level or detailed design. Okay, important point. And then if you see, generally these things are created by your architect. That means you get to work with them, you understand with them what is this. If you are an employee, you will definitely get a good hands on of these things. Okay, and generally in this, mainly participants would be who understand these are little senior members. Okay, who are having maybe I would say 3 to 4 plus. Okay, plus can be a very big range. Okay, it can go up to 20 years of experience also. Okay, so whereas in this one, it's it is mainly the functional logic. Okay, any developer who has good grasp of it can work on this. Okay, this is not restricted for that. This is mainly designers and developers work on this. Okay, for interviews, it's very important. If you are a fresher, they focus not on this, they focus more on this. As your experience grows, your questions will be mainly focused on this. So this is where initial interviews will be focused on. Okay, because you guys speak a lot about coding than about design. You guys talk about majorly, I implemented this logic in this code. Then they'll ask you, okay, good that you implemented all this logic in your code. Can you just tell me, did you observe any problems in that, and did you suggested any solution for that in your system? That is what the question will be asked you. And now, to answer that, you need to identify those patterns now only. Okay. You need to start building your intellect now only to think towards this aspect of it. Okay. So that is why LLD is very important. And you will be part of this journey once you become 2 to 3 years of experience and it goes forward. Nowadays market is so much in demand, you need to understand everything. Even freshers are sometimes ask these questions to understand, of course not to judge you, but to understand where you stand in these things. Okay, so I've just given you the brief of it. If you guys have any questions in this, I am open to take these questions. My voice is very low. Is that true, Stuart? Can you hear me clearly?
I hear you pretty clearly.
Okay. Okay. So I'll move forward. Then I'll talk about these things and I'll go very slow and I'll explain about each and every topic. And I'll show for one single design pattern how do we go about coding also. I'll open my editor. I'll start writing the problem statement and I'll explain you what that can be done for such situations. Maybe we will pick one small design and we'll try to design that also in this 1 hour. Okay. So, okay. So what is design? I have a lot of things in my slides. Okay. But I'll try to cover as much as possible. And also I'll go for practical demonstration for the same. The agenda is what is design patterns? What are the advantages of knowing or using design patterns? Which design patterns named in the reading and what are the key ideas of those patterns? Okay, these are the main agenda or the mindset behind today's session. Now, first of all, be it be design pattern, be it be problems in your system, whatever it is, before solving a problem, sorry, before solving anything, we need to know for what problem statement we are trying to give the solution. Okay, it is important, no matter you write a DSA code and you write a design code, you write whatever it is very important for us to understand what problem are we solving here. Okay. Is it really important for us to understand in that detail? Yes. That level of understanding one must possess to get things running in your mind. Okay, that is why I mentioned this point. Designing the software for reuse is hard. One must find a good problem decomposition and the right software. Very important point. Remember this. This is the statement which tells you how to pick a problem statement so that you can work on it. Okay. You need to make sure that design is flexible, modular, and elegant. Okay. In future days, maybe I will pick up one more master class where I'll talk about solid principles. Okay, but this is very important. I'll not be able to spend time on this because it itself takes a day on its own. So I'll pick up that topic some other day, but you need to follow all these 5 design principles to make sure you write a good software. Okay, and design often, this is a true fact. Some people don't agree with me, but I definitely want to highlight this point. Designs definitely emerge from trial and errors. Sometimes you go and try some XYZ design, okay, writing patterns, it might not actually come out successful. Okay, yes, you have to not get bogged down, continue with your journey for finding the right design. Okay, I'll give you an example for this why this is going wrong. Have you heard of lot of Google softwares failed? Okay, out of 10 to 15 whatever Google have launched, hardly 2 3 have picked up. I'll tell you an example of what and all Google have closed out. Have you heard Google Duo, Google Classroom? These are the software, these are the products Google have launched. Okay, but they didn't pick up because their competitors have solved the problem better than what they did. Okay, so I'm giving you an example of, if you don't think right, you may end up in problems. And this is what trial and error me all about. Okay, likewise, there are extremely successful projects are also there. For example, Google Pay is a very profitable business for them. Gmail, Google Cloud, all these are very profitable business because they find the right tune for the particular thing in the market, which will go and get them big money. Okay, even successful design do exist. Okay, two designs, they are almost never identical. Okay, if you have 10 designs, if you make, trust me, there will be some minute difference between, even though two appears to be exactly same, like exactly copy of another, but it will not be. There will be some minute differences you will find. They exhibit some recurring characteristics for sure. So this is the point we try to address in our journey of design. Okay, so now, what one more challenge is, and designs we described, codified or standardized? Okay, very tricky question. Okay, this would short circuit the trial and error phase. Okay, because a person who knows these design patterns prior is able to do better decision. I am not telling here that he will be able to make the correct decision exactly, but he will be able to make better decisions than the person who doesn't understand actual design patterns. He will just randomly make some pictures which are not really helpful. Okay, that is the reason we can't standardize them. Yes, there are some patterns we create and we keep it, but those patterns can be used to get our complex design. Okay, of course, building Twitter, okay, or building Hotstar or any such websites doesn't happen with a very simple knowledge of whatever you have. It requires a lot of trial and error, and a lot of those, like even Flipkart also in that case. In Flipkart, how many times you ended up in 404 error pages? In Amazon, how many times you ended up in error pages? It's quite common, right? Why that happens? Because you definitely make some mistakes, and that will end up in such problems, and that is okay. No one is blaming us. Yes, that is why we call it as production issues as a software company. Okay, we deal with it, we go, we fix these problems. Okay, that is the reason. If we skip that trial and error phase slightly, we can short circuit those steps of making premature answers for those questions. Okay, if you know such things, you can produce better software faster. Look at the word usage here: better software faster. Okay, that plays a very important role. I will share the PPT with all of you guys, don't worry. After the class, you will be shared all the materials with you guys. Okay, I've made this for your purpose only. Okay, don't worry, you don't have to ask me to go back to previous slides. I will be sharing these slides to you with you as only. You can refer this any point of time. Okay, people who are asking me this question. Okay, now what is a design pattern? First of all, we all need to understand that. Okay, design pattern is a common solution to a common software problem in a given context. That is what it is. Problem can be anything. Okay, I will come to one pattern and justify whatever statements I'm making here. Okay, so before I go there, I'll talk about this. It describes a recurring software structure. What that means? What does that means? Let us say we keep on trying to get same implementation for a same problem statement. Why can't we standardize that? Okay, that is what this definition is saying. You are describing a recurring software structure is also a part of design pattern. Okay, it is an abstract from programming language. What is an abstract? Just like I shown you an agenda here, right? Today we're going to discuss this, and you guys add something in your mind. Yes, today we're going to learn what is design pattern. So this given me a pattern that I will follow these steps in sequence. That is what exactly I mentioned. This particular point says it's an abstract from a programming language. Okay, and then it identifies classes and their roles in the solution to a problem. We're going to identify some recurring software structure with the help of classes and what are their roles in the solution whatever we're going to give to a problem. That is what is a design pattern. Okay, and patterns are not code or designs. It must be instantiated or applied. For example, iterator pattern. What you guys might have definitely used iterator pattern in your code, in your experience. I am pretty sure about it. Okay. If you ask me where, everywhere. Okay. Iterators are in Java are very commonly used if you know collections. Okay. In the collections, we have enumerator, we have list iterator, and iterator. Okay. What this will do, we will discuss that next. What are the benefits of using these patterns? One must understand just not knowing this. Okay, we need to really understand the underneath layer of this. What is the purpose? If I use my design patterns, what I'm going to gain is one should understand. Okay, patterns are common design vocabulary. You know what is vocabulary? I have to speak right. I have to speak correct. Okay, that means I need to know the vocabulary what I'm using or speaking, right? Like we speak, the right coding technique also needs a correct design vocabulary to write correct solutions. That's where design comes in place and pattern comes in place. It allows engineers to abstract the problem and talk about that abstraction in isolation from its implementation. This is very important. Okay, like I told you, what it does, it allows engineers to abstract a problem. You extract the brief of it and you mention it as an isolated solution for the given problem statement. Okay. Also, it embodies a culture, domain specific patterns to increase design speed. If you know certain problems solution, you always implement the moment you find out the problem. Okay, now let us say I have writing a lot of repetitive classes in implementations. Why can't I? Okay, I have a ICICI bank. Here also I have withdraw. Here also I have check balance. Here also I have deposit method. I have one more class. I have one more class. I have 10 classes. Can I have one interface which takes away all these repetitive things? From that, if I let's say implement all of them, won't it serve my purpose or won't it help me in future designs? It definitely does. What it does, it will ask all the other classes who are actually in like implementing them. It gives you some kind of a feature wherein you need to bound to that interface and must you have to implement that those methods. This is a one of the common pattern. I'm giving you an example what you people can understand. You can understand what is an interface, you all can understand what is a class. So with this correlation I'm talking about this. What does patterns capture? Patterns capture design expertise and allow that expertise to be communicated, and it promotes main point. Remember, design reuse and avoid mistakes. That is what we captured, and we are educating people to know this to actually use in their like day-to-day lives or day-to-day coding. It improves documentation, okay, and understandability. So if you understand really the pattern well, the moment you write the documentation, you are sorted because you know what statements to use How do I document them? Because I know those patterns now. I've understood them. It is just that I have to implement it the right way. Okay. Now that's about benefits of using patterns. Now we got this. How many design patterns we have? Okay. There are four people back then. Okay. Google this, you'll get to know. GOF, Gang of Four. These people have come up with these different types of designs: creational patterns, structural patterns, and behavioral patterns. Okay. What does creational patterns says? Whenever you create an object, okay, it helps you to abstract the object instantiation. Sorry, is abstracting the object methods or during creation. Builder talks about specifically about the instantiation. Factory and abstract factory talks about abstraction. Singleton talks about how to keep one object for everything. Likewise, every design pattern talks its own point in themselves. Okay, that's what creational patterns are. For today example, let me pick Singleton and factory, and I'll explain you in detail. Okay. Next, what is structural pattern? These patterns won't talk about creation of object. Remember, that is the reason this segregation I made here. Creational patterns means most likely I will be specified in creating the object. During that point of time, they help me. Okay. Next is structural patterns. These patterns mostly will help me during the flow of the after creation. If I have to do some specific operations, okay, how can I how can I switch? Okay, you know this adapter, right? Today we have, let's say I have my USB charger with me, okay, USB cable with me, okay, and let's say my nowadays, earlier days you had earphones with 3.5 mm jack, correct? Nowadays it got replaced with type C ports. Can you really use those earphones with latest today's phones? You can. For that, what you need? An adapter. Okay. Even though your earphones is not compatible, you can do something called as adapter, and you can use the latest phones with adapting them themselves to latest phones technology. And how do you do that? And that is what this pattern specified about. Decorator. Let us say you have some classes. If you're, I don't want to go in detail of it. So if you want to decorate, you can definitely do it. And you have facade, flyweight, proxy. There are a lot of it. Okay. If if I would have had time, I would have explained everything to you. Let's move on further. Next is behavioral pattern. Okay, I'll pick up observer pattern. What is observer pattern? You have this cricket match going on. Okay, cricket matches going on in the stadium. Okay, you have subscribed for score updates. The moment there is a score update happens, you get that update. How? You are an observer. Observe, you have, that means you have registered. It is all subscription model. You have subscribed yourself to one class, and that class, the moment it gets update from other class, it just informs all of you guys. You guys may not be one, okay, you may be hundreds or lakhs or crores. For whatever people who have subscribed, or if you open quick info, you are already a subscriber by default. Okay, you are waiting for that score to come on your screen. That is exactly is what observer pattern will do. Now, what is chain of responsibility? Now, in this one, let us say you have sequence of actions: action 1, action 2, action 3, action 4. Okay, I'll tell you an example of browser window opens. Okay, then left panel opens. Then let's say you're opening a Gmail box. The moment you click on Gmail, like sign in, I'm just giving you a scenario. First, you have to load the left pane, then you have to load the mail body, and then you have to load the topmost sign in box. These three should happen in sequence is what is requirement is. Now, what pattern I will use it for this to make it work? The best pattern will be chain of responsibility. One after the other, I will go and pick up. So these are the main patterns what we have with us. Okay, these are the sorry, one more is okay. The behavioral, structural, and creational. Now, I will talk about one common pattern all of you know by now. You should know this because if you are a Java user, you will definitely know this pattern. Okay, that's what called as iterator pattern. In iterator pattern, what does it do? Anyone? If you guys know the answer, I would like to listen to your answers. What do you understand by iterator pattern is the question. Okay. See, if I only talk about this. If you guys don't know, no problem. See, first of all, iterator pattern tells you to how to traverse collection. Observe here. I have a list, set, map, stack, queue, lot of different collections we have. The moment I call iterate the collection of iterator, it will give me iterator. It smartly identifies how to navigate them internally. Okay, it understands you use iterator. This whatever collection you provide me, I will be smart enough to make sure I will return you respective next pointers. Okay, let us say I'll give you a real-time example how this works. Okay, now if you see this you guys might have definitely seen in your code a lot of different times. An object that provides a standard way to examine all the elements in any collection, may it be array list, linked list, or stack, queues, whatever, sorted sets, anything. Here, any collection uniform interface for traversing many different data structures to support concurrent iteration and element removal. Okay. So this is what iterator pattern we noticed because you do iteration in all the collections, right? And can we have a pattern for this? Yes. And is it a repetitive problem? Observe here what I told you guys before. It is, we are trying to bring the repetitive things, a recurring software structure. Okay. That can be, I've told you so many times. So we identify repetitive things and make it as a pattern. Okay. Promotes design reuse. We are definitely reusing concept of iteration. So this is what it says. Look at that. It says set.iterator, map.set.iterator. These are the ways to use iterators. It smartly understands you are trying to iterate over set. I want to use this. Okay. If it's a list, I want to use this. And there are three methods which comes to our rescue for this use case. One is as next. What is this? As next. As next will do what? It will check for any collection, whatever you give. Do I have any next element in the collection or not? If it exists, let us suppose if it exists, then I will get that collection and make sure I access first element in that collection, and it can be of account type. Look at this. My iterator is not just working for a specific type. It is giving me the kind of iterator I want. Okay. Let us suppose I have list of accounts like this. Okay. List of account. New list. This is how you create the object, correct? So if you want an iterator, you can say is equals to accounts dot method name is, you can just call Iterator. And you generally get of this type. That's what it's mentioned here. Okay. Same. That got iterator will give you that iterator. Okay, object. And now using this, you can perform two things as next. What as next will do? It will check whether we have any elements in the collection or not. Yes. And next ITR dot next whatever method we have, that is next. This will directly give me next element. Correct. Why I took this example? Because most of you are familiar with this iterator. That is why I took this as my first example, which will make you guys life easier to understand. Okay, so that's what this iterator pattern is all about. Okay, now before I go to observer, I will talk about next pattern, and that is singleton pattern. Let me open IntelliJ. I will code in front of you and show it to you guys how a singleton pattern works. So what is the purpose of singleton pattern? I'll explain that to you guys also. Let me create a single class, or I would say create a package over here. Increase the font. Just font. Give me a minute. Okay. Now let us say I have this singleton object. I am making it as. Now, how can I achieve this? Can you guys tell me how can I? What is the meaning of singleton? One class for the entire duration. Okay. Singleton pattern is the simplest pattern, actually speaking. So if you want this, I'll just put it across here, the point, so that you all will be able to follow. Okay. Again, too much. Create an object while making sure. This class provides me a way to access its only object. Remember, its only object which can be accessed directly without needing to instantiate the object again and again. That means single object throughout the maybe session or whatever. I'm giving an example, that's it. So how can you achieve this? How can you restrict creation of object? Can you guys think about it? How do I create an object? Using what? Using constructor, right? If I block this, will it help me? Certainly it will help me. Look at this. Now I will add the constructor over here. It's very good. Now I will create, let me remove this public from here, and I will just maybe singleton example class I'll make. Here I'll make it as public class. Okay. So I'll make like this. I'll try to create main. Now you see, can I able to create the class object is equals to new singleton class. Now object 1, object 2. Hash code of object 1 is observe here. They will be definitely different. That means this is a normal way of creating class. Here I'm not doing anything otherwise. You only see here. See, both of them are different. But what is my purpose? Single object throughout the session. So I should block this. Block creating object. How can I do this? Any ideas? Any clue? By making this constructor private. If you block creating object only, then it will never, no one will get to know create this particular object. Look at this. The moment I make this private, see, I got this problem. Now it is your responsibility that you will be able to resolve them out of it. Okay. How do you do this? There are many ways. There is lazy loading, there is early initialization, there is lazy initialization. I'll show you both the approaches. First, I'll talk about early initialization. So first of all, create the object, I need to provide method. Okay. What I'll do, I will actually create an object over here. Single object is equals to new. Inside the class, I can do this. I can create the object and I made it as private. That means no one can access now. So I can say I will give, I have blocked this particular object instantiation. So there should be a way to invoke this particular guy, right? How can I make this? Make this guy also as private and create a static member with this name, say get instance, and you return this particular object. Okay. This way you can do this. Okay, it is giving problem. Can anyone tell me why it's giving problem? Because you are accessing a non-static member inside a static member. That is why you are having this problem. How to fix this? Make this as also static. Okay, the making this as static, you can obviously return this object over here. So now, instead of me creating the object with the help of the constructor, can I call this get instance? Let us see whether it works or not. I will replace this with like this. Does it help me? You only have a proof. Look at this. See, observe now. Both the hash codes are same. That means whatever I created the object now is able to not just two. Okay. Even though if I create one more object, object 3, that will also be same. Okay. Now there are multiple ways of improving this. What happens here is not a good practice. You are not even calling this get instance. Before that only, during the runtime only, you are creating the object and keeping it here. And that is not a good practice and not a good design. I mean, in a singleton only, these are the other problems you have. Okay. How can you avoid this? You can actually make it as lazy initialization. Lazy initialization. How do you achieve this? I'll comment this for a while. And then I will cut this and I will check first if single object is null, only then assign it and then return it. Okay. Why this is required? You guys tell me. Let us say, okay, now let me do one thing. I'll do like this. Okay. Every time someone calls me, I keep on passing it across. Let's see what happens. They're getting different hash codes, and that is wrong. That is defeating the purpose of singleton pattern. Observe the property over here. It just defeated my purpose if I make a small mistake of passing them as it is. That is the reason I check this object is null. only then create once. Next time onwards, don't initialize this guy. Okay, that is why we call it as lazy initialization. Okay, and that's what he's doing here. Now you notice all of them are back to the original state of singleton object. Okay, these are two different ways of creating, or second way is the better way of dealing with singleton objects, wherein you create object only when someone invokes this particular class. Okay, so that is the main difference between early initialization and lazy initialization using singleton pattern. Okay, so I hope you guys have understood this design pattern. Yes. Okay, I can take one more example. Let us see, it's just 8 minutes left. Maybe I will take factory pattern and quickly explain. I'll try quickly to explain to you guys. Let us see. Okay, now next I will talk about factory pattern. What is factory pattern? Let us say you have a common use case across everyone. That means you are creating the object for repetitive use cases. That means we create object without exposing creation logic. My client should never know how I'm creating the object. He's only bothered about he want the object with a common interface. Okay, I'll show this use case to you guys quickly. I'll just create a class called as factory pattern demo. Here, let me add all the things. Interface, I'll add shape interface here. I will keep it simple. I'll keep it crisp. Okay. In the shape interface, I will say add a draw method. Simple draw method I've added. Okay. I don't want to complicate it. That's why I added a simple draw method. Then I have, let me add two different, maybe three different classes. What shapes are very famous? So class, maybe circle. I'll implement this shape. Okay. The moment I implement them, I have to implement those methods also. This factory pattern. I will share everything, code, example, slide, everything I'll share. What will I do with using this all these things? So I will say this is from circle. Okay. Now I will replicate same for rectangle, and also I'll replicate same for maybe square. All of them are implementing same interface. Observe this, this, and this are implementing same thing. Now let me create a factory. Okay, what is the purpose of factory? I am a person who is client. I say give me an object of circle. It should give me. I say give me an object of rectangle. It should give me. Okay, I'll show the example of this example here. So main. Here I say I want shape of circle. You give me how do you want? I say maybe get shape. I don't know how you get me the shape. I say circle. Give me the shape. I will say rectangle. You give me the shape. Okay. We are generalizing here. We are actually hiding the details of creation. How are we hiding? I will show you shortly. I will implement the factory who returns the right object whenever you get this. Okay. I will say class shape factory. Here I say public. It will return the shape, and I say get shape. How it will return? It will take string shape type. Okay, what is the type you are expecting? You don't pass anything to me. I don't provide anything to you. Let us say switch statement of shape. If this is of, let me say, I am passing this circle over here. Then I return. Okay. I will have to, I'll say shape, current shape is equals to new, I say circle over here. It doesn't matter me. Okay, you can do this and you can say break. Okay, this is for the this shape, particular shape. Maybe we can repeat this for rectangle. Also, we can repeat this for square. So I say square, rectangle, square. If nothing is passed, so default assign it to null and break it. Okay. Instead of writing if case, I have written this switch case. So now this is mentioned, you can remove that particular thing and you return the current shape. Okay. So I have written this shape factory and I have asked them, you guys use this shape factory. Okay. In future, if you want, I will give you that respective type whenever you ask me. So now I can, instead of creating shape every single time, my job is now very simple. I will do, come here and I say factory equals to new shape factory. You call this with, that's it. And you call like this, and you call like this, and you call like this with the square as the name of the variable. Okay. Now you try invoking the raw method from all of them. Rectangle, square. Let us verify what output we are getting. Observe, this is from circle, this is from rectangle, this is from square. Observe here what just happened for us. We tried to get the shape from this guy. He given us the shape and it went on to call their respective classes, which I am least bothered as a client. Okay. This is the client class actually. Client doesn't know how you are building the class. He's only bothered about the class which he wants. Okay. It is your responsibility, whatever you define in the classes. I want this particular shape. You give me the shape. That's all you ask for. Okay. And that is what an example of, or easy example of, factory pattern. There is something called as abstract factory pattern. Now you have one factory like this. If factory only becomes common, that also you can create one more pattern. Okay. And that design pattern is known as abstract factory pattern. Okay. So I hope these two examples had given you better understanding of how can you go about with the help of design patterns. Okay. It is very, very, very important, guys, to understand this. Okay. Cool. Now I'll stop here. I'll take up the questions. So
Great.
yeah.
And I've got some of them queued up already. We had several questions, Raghavendra, about languages. Is there a need to keep track of what languages are popular, or that pretty much independent of what people will ask? And
Actually, see, programming language is just a syntax for your expressing your understanding. That's it. Okay.
uh
Programming language is never important. If you understand the logic behind it, design patterns is applicable for language agnostic. It's not language dependent. even though you understand in any language, you can definitely make person or your requirement satisfied or answered with the understanding you have. So it is language agnostic.
Yeah. And the shift in languages is fairly rapid and constant. Um,
Exactly.
so you you may be an expert in Python programming, for example, but Python, we don't know what the runway is for how long it's going to be the language of choice and context. So you need to be able to express uh, as Raghavendra described it, the design principles, and that level of understanding independent of languages. So that's something to keep in mind. Um, we have Sai who asks, I don't have any experience. Can I get a job with a 2018 pass out?
uh
What
that
would you advise
question,
someone?
yeah, I think you can answer us to it. Like, see, my answer for this would be very simple. Okay, so if you have a right degree, and if you join Simply Learn and get this knowledge out of this 6 months or 8 months, whenever you complete it, then definitely you will be getting a job for sure.
Yeah. The concept is that if you have the skills, it's still a seller's market for labor. So that means that there are employers out there who are looking for people. Even though we're looking at the potential for a recession next year, and we're hearing stories about layoffs at Mang companies, the the reality is that when that happens, many other smaller companies that had been trying to recruit now have the opportunity to snap up people coming into the market. So it's always a situation of creative destruction, so to speak, in the technology industry, where um, Meta decides to de-emphasize the metaverse and um, releases a number of developers. Then what happens is that other companies start having availability to develop their concepts and their products. So it's a like I said, it's still a market that favors employees. Um, Manu asked a question as you were going through better design. Does better design always mean less redundancy? Less redundancy always a sign of better design?
No, it's not redundancy. Redundancy is altogether a different negative word. Reusability is altogether a beautiful word. Okay, do not club these two and get confused.
Uh huh.
Design patterns helps you to improve or recommend reusability, whereas redundancy is a term where it is used, you are repeating yourself a lot. So that's what
Mm-hmm.
redundancy is all about. Okay,
Yeah,
so don't
and
club these two things.
yeah, it's interesting because on a systems level, there's also the meaning of redundancy as you know survivability through having backup systems and that type of thing. But in this discussion today, we're talking about why have the same um, why have repetitive code doing similar functions when you can have reusable code that saves you all of the extra effort, extra uh, memory. So that's a excellent point. Um, so Manu asked whether you'd be able to share the coding examples you've done. I don't know. Do we have a mechanism for that or not?
Uh, I didn't get that question. Can you come again with the question, Stuart? I was not able to find it.
Manu in the chat asks if there was a way for you to share the coding examples you just did.
Sure, sure. I can send it across to you. maybe you guys are in a better place to pass it on to them.
Yeah,
I can
I can
share
certainly.
with yeah, you
We'll
can
we'll
just
be sending a follow-up email out after this session with links to the PowerPoint slides, and uh, uh, Raghavendra can share the code examples with me. I'll include that as well.
I will send you the
Uh,
suggestions to it, everything.
okay, and let's see what else is coming in through the chat. How do you spell that?
Yeah,
I
people
think he's
are
talking about
talking about a lot
reusability.
of recessions. Guys, a recession will happen for sure, okay? But the demand for knowledgeable talent developers are definitely there. Okay, if you see layoffs, right, layoffs are not happening for every area. It can happen for a lot of different reasons. In layoffs are not always directly proportional to recession as of today, so the factors are different, and developers are the last people to be thrown out of the company. Okay, this is, mark my words, they are the last. You guys are being one of developers, you're always in a good state to be to survive in the industry. Okay, and if you have knowledge, why to worry? Let's, even though layoff comes, you can find the next job in quite some time.
Yeah, I mean that is the point I was trying to make earlier. Is that the there's a constant process of new things emerging. Before 2009, nobody conceived of what uh, Facebook would be in terms of its scope and size, um, and it hasn't been that long. It didn't take very long for it to blossom and become what it is today. Well, right now there are other platforms, other companies, other products that are just emerging that are going to have the same type of explosive growth. They're going to be looking for technology staff. So it's always a process of as some companies go through the difficulties of being large and adapting to changing markets, other companies emerge and start absorbing any excess labor that's in the field. Um, so we had a couple of questions that related to data science, and I just wanted to clarify. Um, the DSA topic that we had advertised is not about data science per se. It was about data structures and algorithms, which is a software development topic. But we do
Exactly.
have various data science webinars coming up, and I'll be talking about that in just a minute. So,
So in maybe
um,
upcoming months, I'll be talking about solid principles. I'll be talking about HLDs, DSA, and a lot of different topics where that
yeah,
might really help you to understand that better. Okay.
yeah. So
So I have
we
tons
have
of topics in with me which I can want to share with you guys.
yeah.
Definitely, we can keep this rolling.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and move on to the end of the presentation. I'm going to share the last.
Stuart, shall I
Good.
drop off if it's fine? I was really
It's all right if you do, but thank you very much, Raghavendra, for being here
yeah,
today. I really appreciate that, and we're looking forward to future sessions with you as well.
yeah. Thank you so much. I wish you all the very best for all of you guys. This is a wonderful platform. Make good use of it, and all the best. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Um, so as I mentioned, we have some upcoming webinars, and I also want to mention the Full Stack Java Developer Master's Program. This is a program, if you are in India, this program can be done as a job guarantee program, which means that for learners in India specifically, we have agreements with companies that hire folks in India. So you have to be either resident there or have the right to work there in order to get the job guarantee. For anyone else outside of India, the Java Developer Master's Program, very valuable, but doesn't includes job assistance in US, but not job guarantees. So I just want to make that clear. But this is a 6-month program that takes you all the way through. If you are not yet conversant in all of these tools, it will expose you to them. make you use them in different exercises and labs so that when you finish this course and complete certification, you'll be able to claim with backup that you have used these tools and can show these skills. So this is a great program. It has 26 integrated projects and labs. It's all delivered online. You can take it from anywhere in the world on your laptop, on your desktop. A lot of the material is even accessible on a mobile device. And it gives you, as I mentioned, for learners in India and the USA, there's job assistance, where there's a version in India that is job guarantee program. So we're very proud of that. And just based on what I've said on this very brief introduction, I just want to get a quick poll of the audience, whether this is something that might interest you. So is this something that you might want to enroll in without making a commitment? Here's the question. Leave it open for another 15 seconds. Okay. Get those last answers in, and here is the result. So about 2/3 of the people responding said that they'd be interested. We will be glad to send you information about that, but you can also contact us at askus@simplylearn.net. Put that information into the chat box for you, so that you can both look at the program and on the website, as well as contact our learning consultants by email and get your questions answered. So, as I did mention, there are upcoming webinars next week. One is about career potential in cybersecurity for 2023, and another one is on digital marketing. The week after, we'll have a expert webinar in the area of artificial intelligence and data science. So do keep your eyes open for that. I'm going to put the information about these two webinars into the chat right now, so that you have the links that you can go to get information and register if you're interested. Again, this is all part of our ongoing program of free webinars for people in the industry. So do keep an eye out. Connect with us on Facebook at Simplilearn or Twitter at Simplilearn. Connect with our LinkedIn page, Simplilearn on LinkedIn, and we'll keep you informed about future webinars and course availabilities. And we hope to welcome you into the Simplilearn learning community. Thank you all very much for being here today from wherever you are in the world. And this concludes our webinar for today. So thank you.